안녕하세요. 저는 김헉입니다. 나는 싱가포르입니다. 반갑습니다. Okay, English from now. Korea, in fact, is one of my favorite places to visit for holiday. So I say this because it's not because I'm presenting here. It's genuinely we love to visit Korea. In fact, my boss, where's my boss? Oh, he's not here. Okay, PK knows about that. All right. So 2 days ago, we came to Korea together. He asked me a question, Kim Hock, where did you go for your holiday? So before I can respond, he said, Korea? I said, yeah, that was last January. Yeah, whole family. We came to Korea, and we went to Busan. So over here, I'd like to share with you one interesting instance that we had in Busan. So we were walking along the streets looking for our lunch, and we came across a very traditional restaurant. So we walk in and order the food. One of my favorite dish is bibimbap. So I ordered bibimbap, and of course we served with kimchi. And the kimchi was delicious. Of course, the bibimbap as well. So I like it so much. And then when I saw the owner, I believe she is the owner. So when she walked past, I say, 이거 맛있어요. He said, then she's very friendly and she tried to explain to me. I say, 감사합니다. Then she tried to talk a lot on that. So anything after 감사합니다, I don't understand. And I look at her, and after she completed the sentence, I try to say, yeah, 알겠습니다. But she knew that I don't understand. So she tried to explain again. She said, okay, 잠시만, I need help. So I pull out my phone and say, Google Translator. Now I'm in business. So we do the conversation via the Google Translator. So at the end of the session, so I understand something whereby she's trying to explain to me how she can make such delicious dishes. All right, so there are two things that I gathered from Google Translator. Number one, you need a fresh ingredient, fresh food. All right, that is number one. Number two, you must know how to store and preserve the kimchi. Right, there's a stringent ways how long you want to preserve the kimchi so that it can be made good food. All right, so today, what I'm going to do to share with you is about food. All right? Food not for Korean food, but a food for your AI ML workload, which is your data. All right? This is where I'm going to start with. So before you can have a good analytic or good result, you need to have a good data. And how you preserve your data, how you store, it is very important. Right? Once you have that data, then you can serve a higher purpose. And this is the topic of today, the data lakehouse. All right, before we jump into data lakehouse, let's look at the evolutions of data platform. Of course, we started from the data warehouse. And we look at this architecture over here. Of course, it is solely focused on structured data. And it's very popular at that point in time. But how about the other spectrum of the data? Unstructured. It is not there. As a result, we're going to have a data lake concept, whereby this data lake will capture structured, semi, and unstructured data. But there's a problem here. To get the structured data, you still need to go through the data warehouse. Right? You go through the batch process or ETL process, generate the data out of a data lake, form a data warehouses, and consume by the business intelligence and form your dashboard. So it's formed two challenges over here. Number one, there's a gap. Right? The data on your data warehouse is not up to date because it is a batch process. The other one is the data quality issues. The data quality of the data warehouse is always depending on quality of the ETL process. If there's a problem with the ETL process, your data at your data warehouse will be in trouble. As a result, we come into the next stage, which is data lakehouse. As you can see over here, you still have a data lake with all the structured, semi-structured, and unstructured. The difference is we have an intelligent layer above the data lake, which is your intelligent metadata, caching, and indexing engine. It's the translation layer between your applications and your data in the data lake. Right. All applications can read and write directly to your data lake directly without going through an intermediate layer. So you might ask, Kim Hock, so since this data lakehouse is so advanced, right? What is the adoption rate? Here, fortunately, we do have a sponsor from this Gmail. They conducted a survey, right, about the state of the data lakehouse. And it can download from internet, right? If Google now, you can download immediately from the internet. It is a 17-page white paper, right? But I'm going to summarize everything for you into a single slide. Right? In the paper, there are basically 4 key findings. Okay, number 1, data lakehouse is becoming the primary architecture for 2 reasons: cost efficiency and the ease of use. As you can see from the survey, 42% of the respondents has moved from the data warehouse to the lakehouse. 70% will be adopting lakehouse in the next 3 years. Number 2, open table format is very important. Right? It is transformative. Basically, it is a open table format in such a way that you are able to change the schema of your table without impacting historical data. Okay, without impacting. You can change your schema anytime. You can't do this with a traditional SQL database. There are primarily 2 table formats which are very popular, which is one is Iceberg, and the other one is Delta Lake. Right? These are the 2 most popular. And moving forward, out of 70%, you can see that there are more people leaning towards Iceberg, right? As a preferred table format. Third is about data mesh. Right? Data mesh is important in this lakehouse. What is data mesh? Right? Basically, when you look at the data warehouse architecture, it's a centralized architecture. You have one single ownership. But for data mesh, you are basically decentralized everything. So you can distribute the data back to the owner again. Right? The data owner will have the authorizations to control the data quality. Right? And they will have the governance to allow who can access to the data. But at the same time, although it's decentralized, it is centralized in such a way that the data are all linked. They are all linked. Right? That is the good thing about the data mesh. Okay, lastly, a lot of people and more people are using data lake as a source for improving your AI applications, AI modeling, right? Data management and governance. So these are the 4 key findings from this survey. Okay, let's move on to talk a bit more about data lakehouse. Data lakehouse, there are three major components. The first one, of course, is the data lake. This is where, remember the container, right? Where you store and preserve your data, right? That is where it is. So this data lake, you need to be have a high performance and scalable storage. And the preference is object storage. Why? When you take a look at the more popular so-called the engine, like for example, Snowflake, 100% object storage. Cloudera on cloud, 100% object storage. Dremio, object storage. Right? So you can see here, right, for the adoption, object storage is preferred. Second layer, which is the metadata layer. Right? This is also a very important layer, whereby the key, the table format, as you can see here, Delta Lake, right, Iceberg, and Hoodie. Right? For Hadoop users, typically they're going to adopt Hoodie is primarily used for in the Hadoop environment. Of course, in the Cloudera environment, they can use other formats as well. Right? But for the open platform, right, likely will be Delta Lake or Iceberg. The last component is the processing engine. Right? It's the applications that control everything that knows to follow the specification of the data lakehouse. For example, Spark, Trino, Flink, Vertica, Dremio, of course Cloudera, and more, many more. Right? So these are the engine that open engine you can download and install and play around with it. So these are three components. But as of now, what I'm going to focus on is the number one, the data lake. Okay. There are three key storage attributes about the lakehouse. Number one, of course, is the data center footprint. Remember, our speaker, CTO, Mark, he mentioned about 20 to 25% of the energy are for data storage. 20 to 25. It is huge. Right? And if you recall, PK, Pratush, he said that we guarantee the power efficiency of your data center. Right? Remember the guarantee, the 4 guarantee that Pratush mentions? Yeah, we guarantee that. Right. Multi-dimensions in the data lakehouse, because you are serving many workloads. You have needs a high throughput, low latency, sequential, random, and even high concurrency for AI workload. The last one, multi-dimensional data set. It can have very small. It can have very small data sets, a few K, even up to a terabyte. Right? It is a vast difference. Of course, you're going to install the structured, semi-structured, unstructured, and it's going to be large volume because it's the lake house. Right, so what Pure can bring to you is, if comparing to a traditional disk array, we are 1/5. Okay, you just need 1/5 of the space. 7 times less disk. 20 times more reliable. Okay, back to the 4 guarantee that we talk about. On top of this, right, we support multi-cloud mobility. If you are not sure whether you want to do on-prem, cloud, or maybe hybrid, no problem. All right, with the Portworx, we can help you to do the management. We can help you to move from cloud to on-prem, or vice versa, or you can even do a hybrid. Secondly, of course, we provide high performance and low latency. Even on object storage, we can give you less than 3 milliseconds on object storage. Before Pure, lower than 3 milliseconds on object storage is unheard of. Unheard of, because object storage was designed for throughput, not latency. Not latency at all. But for Pure, we design our storage for low latency, even for object storage. Right. Zero-touch provisioning. All right? You do not need to specify anything when you set up the system. The system can auto-adopt to whatever different workload that you need. Just imagine, right, if you are going to carve up a volume for your storage, what you need to specify upfront. It's just like designing a city. So you are telling the system, I need 1 acre of land. But before that, you need to tell the system one thing. What is the size of the house you're going to build on that? You cannot skip this. You're going to tell the system, I want to have a studio apartment for one person, or maybe a house, medium house, or maybe a bungalow. You have to specify upfront. If you choose that, okay, I wanted a studio, which means one person. The system will cover up the whole land with one studio. Yep, it's good for individual, right? No problem, one person, one studio. It is good. But however, when one family goes in, for example, a large file system goes in, you need to split. Right? One person from the family across the land. Is it good or bad? It is bad, right? It is bad. Same thing, you say, I'm going to have bungalow on my land, right? So family can live in, very good. But how about individual? When individual assigned to the bungalow, what's happened? Space efficiency. The cost is higher, right? But for Pure, you do not need to decide upfront. We do have an intelligent variable block engine whereby it fits into whatever size that you need. If you have a family, we give you a bungalow. If a single person, we give you a studio. You do not need to decide upfront. This is how we achieve the efficiency and the performance required for different workload. If you look at, let's take a good view on the live data lakehouse in actions with Pure Storage. Right, very likely you will use the container. Kubernetes is one of the preferred choice, for example, and these are the so-called the workload that you would like to do. So you can build a data lakehouse with whatever engine that you want to use, whatever open table format you want to use, or file format you want to use, onto a flash blade, which it is for unstructured. It has the file and object 2-in-1. Right, 2-in-1. You can use a file and object. And optionally, of course, you can have a SQL server to serve those applications that need super low latency. And the data lake engine, right, that you chosen, it can also read and write data from the SQL database. And on top of that, you can have all your EI, ML, ETL application running on the same platform and orchestrated by Portworx to serve the needs. Okay? This gives you, number one, very important, no lock-in. Right? You can have liberty to choose whatever system that you want to use and whatever storage that you want to use, from different vendor. Right? There's no concern about certifications. The other one is sustainability. We talk about sustainability a lot. How can we help you to have a lower footprint in the data center? Next, simple. I talk about simple. How easy for you to provision storage from Pure Storage. And lastly, of course, it is performance. Right? It's flash. Right? It's all flash storage. All right. Lastly, I'm going to leave you with this nice picture that I generated from ChatGPT. Okay, basically, actually, we have quite a lot of success story together with many of customers. We do have many customers with us for their AI workload, even the data lakehouse. Okay, do encourage you to approach us. Okay, we can share with you more how we help our customer okay, in the journey. With that, I thank you very much for your attention. 감사합니다.